Well, after two really chaotic days here at Supersport Park in Centurion, we had a more orthodox test match as England closed the play-out on 121 for 1, still 255 runs in arrears. I'm with News Africa's main man, Philasande Sixaba. Did I get that right?
That's fantastic.
Sixaba. There you go. Pila, before we get on to England and the permutations for tomorrow morning, why don't we talk about South Africa's lower order? 166 runs contributed across the two innings from Philasande, Rabada, Maharaj and Nokia, who was phenomenal as night watchman, getting 40. A real positive for South Africa moving forward.
I think that's the benefit of having a longish tail like they have in this test match, with Pretorius coming in at 7, and you still got Vernon Philasande at 8, and of course you mentioned Andrak Nokia was really good in the morning session, especially particularly in that first hour where he was able to get a few boundaries to kickstart South Africa's day, which is fantastic. That's what you want to see. You want the contribution from the lower order to come through to supplement what has happened at the top of the order, but the stress now is the top of the order that it hasn't really fired for South Africa. So I think that's one positive out of the bigger picture, which is quite a bit of a negative because you want your top order to score as many runs as possible so that you alleviate some of the pressure from the lower order. But all in all, really good performances from the bottom sort of 4 batsmen in this test match.
Do you think England got their tactics right? They seem to want to bounce out the tail, and as we just said now, Nokia with a 40, I just looked now, he's got 5 first-class centuries, not centuries, half centuries, with the top score of 79. Philander's obviously proved his worth. Do you think that England will learn that you can't just walk out and bounce out this lower order, that you still have to treat them like good batters and hit it on a good length?
Most definitely, and if you look at how Ben Stokes got Quinton de Kock out, it was a full-length delivery, just doing a little bit more. So I don't think that the tactics were particularly right from England, especially in that first session of play this morning. They played 125 runs in 24 overs in that first session before the lunch break. So I think the tactics were completely wrong, especially from Jofra Archer, who was asked to sort of bounce Quinton de Kock, especially when he came early on to the crease. And it was made for real awkward viewing.
Well, it was fun, wasn't it?
Fun from a South African point of view, but from an English point of view, it wasn't that great. So I think for them, they probably learned post the lunch session that you got to pitch it up a little bit, because the wicket was still doing a little bit before they got their chance to bat again. So I think, from an English point of view, tactics weren't right today at all.
But what did work for England was how their top order, especially Burns, came out. Sure, he was dropped on 20, but that happens, although Rassie van der Distance not going to be happy about dropping 2 catches that in total have now cost over 100 runs, because obviously he dropped Denley in the first innings when he was on 0. Denley landed up making 50. Quite an awkward character is Burns, a really strange technique. He in the Graham Smith, Dean Elgar sort of mould, where he looks like a bit of a crab kind of stuck in an elevator, but it seems to work. Some thoughts on Burns?
Look, a lot of people will tell you that technique doesn't really count for anything if you score runs, and I think Rory Burns and probably Dom Sibley to a lesser extent are proof of that. If you score runs, people don't really talk about your technique, but when the runs do dry up, that's when I think those technique conversations will creep up again. But I think he applied himself really well today. He obviously got a chance when he was dropped on 20, but he looks like somebody who knows his game, is comfortable with his game, comfortable with his technique, and has the ability and the temperament to score runs at this level of the game, which is really good to see. He's been the most consistent opener for England in 2019 in the search of the top order batsman for England since Alistair Cook retired. So it's been really good to see from an English point of view that he's applied himself and has had made a really good start to international cricket, particularly Test cricket. So hopefully, from an English point of view, they're going to be hoping that he continues that tomorrow. He's not out on 77.
That's right.
So he's going to be crucial for them tomorrow in the fight to really chase down that total from South Africa.
Still 255 runs ahead, though. You tweeted you tweeted it's Headingley, reminding the world about Ben Stokes' epic when he chased down seemingly by himself an insurmountable total. So we thought against Australia. It's almost a year ago that Pereira chased down a total by himself against Africa. Someone asked the question, I think it was you who asked, Anrik Nokia, is there a sense of deja vu happening in the camp? Are you feeling a sense of deja vu?
At this point, yes. You get a little bit nervous when you sit and you watch these things and you see and you follow, the amount of Test cricket that has been played, particularly from a South African point of view. That Sri Lanka Test series was a little bit gut-wrenching, and when you look at this situation, it's poised almost the same as when Pereira came out and really took the game to South Africa in Durban. So I'm hoping that it's not going to be the case, and hoping that South Africa can get early wickets tomorrow. I think that's going to be the key. If they can nip out Denley and Burns quite early on in the morning, expose the likes of Ben Stokes and Joe Root, who hasn't been feeling well in this Test match, they can possibly have a chance at really closing out this Test match on day 4. So it's going to be difficult. Still a hell of a lot of runs for England to get 255, but South Africa has to bowl well tomorrow morning.
Well, either way, we're going to get a result tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.